Hi everyone, so the 19th of January 2015 will always be a date that will be remembered for the wrong reasons. It was actually the day that I got diagnosed with spondylolisthesis. And in this video I'm hoping that it gives you guys an insight into what the condition is, what it's meant for me with complications and things, and not just that, but also why the condition led to me being paraplegic and ending up a wheelchair user. It's going to be really difficult, it's going to be really hard, but this video goes live 3 years to the day I was diagnosed. And for me, that's so important because this condition isn't well known about. And this month, I am actually doing some of my own awareness on the condition. You will notice before we get into this video, you will notice that there is a hashtag on this video title called Spondylolisthesis and Me. To those of you with spondylolisthesis, if you feel comfortable sharing your story on social media, do it, because at the end of the month I will be doing a special blog post on the whole awareness thing, on the condition. I don't normally talk about it in that sense on my blog. I normally obviously just focus on the whole accessible luxury travel lifestyle things that I do. But because it is 3 years, this year it'd be 3 years, and it's quite a big milestone, I thought, you know what, I need to turn this into something positive for once, because the previous 2 years have not been a very positive day. So if I can literally get some awareness of the condition out there, that's great. But yeah, let's crack on to the video. So, the moment people realise that the reason I'm in the chair is because I'm paraplegic, I normally get asked, how fast was I going? And the other one I get asked is, how far did I fall? But most people don't realise that my paraplegia wasn't caused by an accident. It was caused by complications from a condition called spondylolisthesis. And spondylolisthesis is a slippage of the vertebrae of the spine. Most people, when they hear it, just turn around and say, oh, so you've got a bad back. But what they don't realise is that your back's broken, your spine's broken. The front part and the back part of the vertebrae they either haven't fused or there's been a break between them. It's called a pars articulus defect, or pars defect for short. And my one is considered to be congenital, and that was literally found out on the scans because of the locations of them, and not just that, but also how young I was when we found out about the slips. It's really difficult actually, because like when I was diagnosed, I was doing ice dancing and gymnastics, and I straight away was put on 16-hour-a-day bed rest 8 weeks before my 18th birthday, at 17 years old. A 17-year-old to be put on 16 hours a day bed rest is just completely ridiculous. And I struggled with it a lot. 8 days after, I went for... 8 days after, I went for an echocardiogram. It wasn't linked to my spine. It's because of something else. I walked into that scan and I never walked out properly. Whilst in that scan, the positioning that I was in basically slipped my spine to the point that it started to compress all the nerves even more than what it had already been doing. But this time it was, rather than sort of like nerves that, would just cause shooting pain, it was compressing and strangling nerves that controlled things like, obviously my legs and the sensation as well as the ability to move. But Also, bladder function. A lot of people don't realise this, and it's something I'm really personal. I'm really kind of like private about, but I will admit on this video. For the rest of my life, I will have to do something called intermittent self-catheterisation. When I get older, it could even go to where I'm going to have to go to what's called a suprapubic catheter, purely because I might not be able to do ISC in the future. You have to have a lot of ability to be in your fingers and things like that to be able to do it. It's very difficult. You know, when I turn around and say to people, I'm just gonna pop to the toilet, and at first people didn't understand why I took so long, and it's because I can't just go like everyone else. Which at first was really difficult for me to get my head around. The other thing as well, and I'm going to pop a little clip in here.
You've got to be safe, you've got to be comfortable, so there is absolutely no point in sitting up straight and trying to push, because all the chair is going to do is the front casters are going to lift. That's all they're going to do. So when you go up to the ramp, it's just that little lean forward. That's all you need, just to offset your balance and weight.
Was that I had to learn wheelchair skills. My temporary chair, I wasn't able to push myself around in properly, so there's a couple of videos on me and buses and things like that when I was in my temporary chair, and the majority of that I wasn't actually pushing myself, although I was pushing myself a lot of the time on there, a lot of the time off like the videos and things like that. The guys that were with me were pushing me about because I couldn't do it myself. It was just ridiculous. It was a 22 kilogram chair, and then there was me on top of it. The chair that I have now is 7 kilograms, but difference between this chair and a normal chair is that this chair has a 360 roll bar. Things like going up ramps, and I learned this the hard way even after being shown how to go up ramps correctly and curb hop and things like that and pop wheelies. It makes everyone laugh. I've had a few accidents in that chair where what was it? I've had a few, yeah, where I've come out the chair, and one of them was in September 2015, and I just started back at college, and because I had to take so long out of education just to try and get used to my spine. So I was at Reading College, and I was in the middle of the town centre going to college, to Chadden Tourism, and I came out my chair. But I came out my chair on a pedestrian crossing to the point that when I landed, I landed in such a way that my neck went one way and my body went the other way. And I lost all the reflexes down my right arm. I got myself one-handed to college that day, and I don't even know how I done it because it was a good 10 minutes. And I got to college, and I realised that I still wasn't able to move my arm. And the tutors kind of realised that it was wrong. You know, thank God they did, because I probably would have gone the entire day just trying to deal with it, and then got it checked out later. Because I am a stubborn person, and I was even more stubborn back then. I got to Royal Berkshire, and Brett got there. And we were being prepped for the fact that they thought that I'd injured my spine even further up. Because I'd lost all the reflexes in my right arm. And normally, if you lose all the reflexes after an accident, it normally means that you've got a spinal cord injury. The MRI, thank God, showed that it was just a little bit of a nerve thing as opposed to a full-blown spinal cord problem. But it did reveal on that, there was a CT scan after that, actually, after that MRI, 2 months later, and I wasn't told at the MRI when they did the emergency MRI, because I think they thought that I'd already known about it, even though I hadn't. Yeah? Right. Even though I hadn't. But basically, I had slips further up my spine. And that was actually quite difficult to get over, because originally I'd only been told that I had slips in my lower spine, not my upper. And then it kind of really didn't get much better, because 2015 I had 2 asthma attacks in a week, both requiring hospital treatment. And that was really scary. I don't even remember much about that because I passed out during them. I was really, really ill because of the breathing difficulties that I had. And then obviously surgery up until 2016, surgery was being considered until February of 2016, because February of 2016 the whole plan got changed. Basically, I went for a operation on my bladder to sort out some complications to do with my intermittent self-catheterization. And what was a 20-minute operation, it took them 7 hours to get me off the ventilator that they put me on, and an additional 3 hours after that for me to come round. And it got to the point where they had to get Brett and take Brett to ICU and say, look, she's not waking up. After that, it was decided that the spinal surgery was far too risky for my health, because every time I need GA, which is basically shortened for general anaesthetic, basically, my body does not like it and does not respond correctly, and I don't come round as expected, which is obviously really difficult for the hospital staff, because they want me to be as, I don't know, like, they want me to be as safe as possible, I guess. Like, they don't want to do anything that is going to create too much risk if the benefit's not worth it. And the thing is, with my spinal surgeries, ever since my paraplegia was confirmed, they've always said that any spinal surgery will only stop things getting worse. It will not bring back my ability to walk, because right now there isn't anything they can do. You know, there's charities that are constantly searching for a cure, but there isn't anything they can do right at this moment, which is really difficult. It's something that, when I was told by doctors that I'd never walk again, I didn't accept it. I still don't accept it, and I think that's probably the reason why I've got so far, because I don't accept what the doctors say. You know, if I did, I definitely wouldn't push myself so much with my physio, with my personal training and things like that, because at the end of the day, I'm doing all of that in the pure hope that one day it'll help me and I'll be able to regain some motor function back. In fact, one of the things that I actually said to a couple of the nurses that are within my care team, I said to them, I was like, I can deal with doing ISC for the rest of my life, but I will never accept the fact that I can't walk. That's the one thing that's really difficult for me, is that because the ISC's hidden, like, people don't know about it. Like, all people see is me and the fact that I can't walk and the fact that I'm in a chair. But because that part of spinal injury and CES and related conditions is hidden, like, in terms of, like, bladder difficulties, things like that, that's something that I could deal with. But being in a chair, like, I still don't deal with it. I still have really bad days, and that might shock some people that I have really bad days. But yeah, you know, not every single day is a positive day. And every year, like, it gets easier, but it's still not great, you know what I mean? Another thing as well is, after my spine happened, I was told, and I suppose, you know, the message that I probably tell guys with this is, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, because I was told that I'd never work in the travel and tourism industry in any capacity, and I'd certainly never work in the rail industry in any capacity. And yet now I blog about the travel and tourism industry, rail industry, I blog about lifestyle. So to the person that actually told me that I'd never work in the industry in any capacity, yeah, take your opinion back, because you know what, this girl's going places. And I a couple of people actually asked me if I'd still sort of like if I'd still like want to work in the rail industry if I got the chance, and the answer is, you know what, even with doing the blog and all the opportunities I get, yeah, I would still want to. It was always the goal. And it will be. But yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna get going because I've got to get all this done. But yeah, I just really hope you guys have a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are. And just literally remember, like, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, and things always get better. No matter how bad they seem at the time, things always get better. But yeah, share this with your family and friends. If you have any other questions, I'll try and answer them at some point. I'm going to do a Q&A on this at some point actually as well. Yeah, thanks so much. Bye.